12 months ago, the top collegiate athletes in America were ready to go. Then the sports landscape changed overnight.
The meet was canceled and the season was canceled indefinitely.
It was like, wow, this is actually over.
There was just this feeling of what's next? What are we going to do?
Once we were able to compete, it was go time.
It definitely gives us a little fuel to the fire now, and unfinished business is where our mindset is at.
Today, the nation's best are in Fayetteville, Arkansas, ready to put on a show that has been a full year in the making. It's the 2021 NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. We are on the campus of the University of Arkansas, Old Main, the academic anchor here in Fayetteville. But athletically, you got to come south to the Tyson Track Center, the Razorbacks home oval, where national championships are held and won. The 13th time this indoor track and field championship has been held in this extraordinary venue. Welcome, everyone, to the Natty. And it is on, and that is a big deal after last year when this meet was canceled. John Anderson, along with Dwight Stones and Dan O'Brien. And gentlemen, we have masking and testing and social distancing, but you know what else we have? Dwight, we have running, and we have jumping, and we have throwing.
And boy, are we happy that we do. After more than 30 years retired, I still look at these things as an athlete, and I know how disappointed and angry I was a year ago, thinking how hard these kids had trained and prepared for a national championship. But then we accepted it, and now, 1 year later, here it is. We are now happy that we are out here competing. We're thankful for that, and we're on one of the best facilities for the sport in the country.
And I was with you guys last year at Albuquerque as well, and I saw the devastation and the disappointment on these athletes' faces. But talking to the coaches and athletes, they have really come together over the last year. And as soon as the indoor season started, it was almost like a primal yell. All that frustration and rage came out, and we saw some fantastic performances. And I think we're going to see some here today as well.
Grateful coaches and competitor. They're eager as well to chase championships, both individual and in the team category. Here's how you do it. The scoring breakdown. Top 8 score, that makes you an All-American. If you want to win the meet, you got to have some big hitters up front. Get some of those first, second, and thirds, 10, 8, and 6. It will be a great team competition. We will track that throughout the meet. And we are 7 events in so far. So, Dan, let's start with the 7-eventer.
Well, in the men's heptathlon, a couple of Georgia Bulldogs would battle it out from the start to the finish. Karel Tilga, who didn't take place in the SEC championships, got out to a good start in the 3rd event. The men's shot put 52.7. And this is the SEC champion 2 times running, Kyle Garland, just a sophomore out of Georgia. That's his first attempt over 7 feet a half inch, a personal best for him for 944 points. Garland kept up with the personal best records. This is his first attempt at 15 feet 11 1/4. He would get over it, jumping higher than he did at the SEC championships and ahead of his point total in that win. Karel Tilga here on his 3rd attempt, 16.3 1/4. Big man, over 200 pounds, over 6 feet 3 inches tall. He's over 16.3 1/4 for big points for him. So going into 1,000 meters, Kyle Garland led Karel Tilga by 38 points. And Tilga let it be known from the very start of this race that he was going to run for the win. At this point, it wasn't which team was going to win. It was a battle between a couple of Georgia Bulldogs. Tilga needed to beat Garland by 3.5 seconds. He does that easily. Garland comes in shortly after, and they have a fantastic heptathlon, taking over the number 2 and number 4 all-time marks in NCAA heptathlon history. There you go, a sophomore and a senior, 62-64, 6,200, and the coach Petros Kipriana congratulates them both.
And those 18 points help push Georgia up there to a tie for the lead through 7 events. LSU up top thanks to Javon Harrison, who we will see later in the program winning the high jump and the triple jump. Oregon down there at 13 points, but Dwight Stones, they got a chance here in the mile to make up ground and start their way towards another national championship.
And the first event on the track is the men's mile collegiate record held by and set just a few weeks ago by Cooper Tier of Oregon. Lowy LeLang of Arizona still holds the meet record. There is one of Oregon's finalist, Cole Hocker of Oregon, already a winner on the distance medley relay from last night. And Waleed Suleiman, the Southeast Conference champion, the only senior in this field. Reed Brown, also from Oregon, giving the Ducks a couple of scoring opportunities here in this very first event. And the 10 runners will stay in these groups of 7 and 3 through the first 2 full turns, and then break for the pole on the finishing straightaway.
Well, just of note, Reed Brown came back to run in the distance medley relay. Got the Oregon Ducks off to a great start in the 1,200-meter leg. Waleed Suleiman, he was scheduled to run for Ole Miss, but after qualifying for the finals, he stepped aside to concentrate here in the mile. We'll see him back in the 3,000 as well.
Nobody really seems to want that pole. And oftentimes in championship middle distance racing, it can go tactical. Right now, the field is trying to figure itself out. Cole Hawker sort of in the lead, but not completely. Sharing lead with Yusuf Bismana of Texas, not setting a blistering pace early on.
But Bismana ran a fantastic qualifying race, stayed on the inside next to the rail the entire time, didn't come out of that position that he's in right now. Just a freshman, but he ran so disciplined with so much experience.
Well, 61.44 for the first 440. This is a mile race. The only imperial distance that we contest at the NCAA championships indoors.
See in the crimson uniform on the outside, that's Elliot Kipsang. He's a freshman from Alabama. And a lot of people began to talk about him after he ran a 3:53 mile in the distance medley relay at the SEC championships. They were putting him in the top 5 to finish in the mile, but not a lot of experience.
Kipsang, a 24-year-old freshman for Alabama. So he's got that extra advantage of maturity. So Hawker comfortable in front. He ran a blistering heat, dragging a bunch of runners under 4 minutes. 2 flat 56 for 800 meters. So Hawker turning it up a notch in that second quarter mile.
Well, he's got some great sprinters behind him. He certainly doesn't want to let this thing lag too slow and give those guys an opportunity, but it was really a story of 2 different heats, qualifying heats yesterday, Dwight, wasn't it? A really fast first heat, and only, we got our 4 automatic guys from the second heat, but there were a number of coaches that were angry at the setup because they had some fast guys who finished 3rd and 4th in that, 3rd and 4th time qualifiers in that first heat.
Adam Fogg of Drake making a pretty aggressive move to get up in the mix. It's Hawker followed by Kipsang, Bismana, and Fogg. Those are your top 4. Now Suleiman in the mix in 5th. Coming up at 3/4 split. And we're still right on 4-minute mile pace, maybe a little under with these guys with the finishing speed they've got. Hawker now shifting gears, and Kipsang pretty much covering the move, as does Fogg. Bismana starting to fall off the pace. Suleiman already starting to look like he's suffering. He had a tough time qualifying yesterday. He had to dig down deep. Hawker is making him run. There's the bell. It's Hawker, Kipsang, and Fogg.
Nice tempo change for Hawker. Look at him really turning it over here.
He's just putting his feet down more often than everybody else, gapping Kipsang now, who has no answer. Fogg has also spent his energy. Now Suleiman trying to get back in the top 3. But Hawker is going to run a blistering last 440 yards to win it in 3:53.71. Kipsang, the freshman, will finish 2nd. Suleiman 3rd. It looks like maybe Fogg hung on for 4th.
Well, that was about the same time that Hawker ran yesterday in the qualifying round, but just so much talent for this young man. Look at the speed. When he decides to make a move, he takes right off. And he just shifted from 4th gear to 5th gear. Kipsang couldn't hang with him. He glances up at the big board and knows he's clear, but he's just gonna keep his foot on the pedal all the way to the finish. He was a sub 4-minute miler in high school, and you can see now why he's the 2nd fastest miler this season.
Now, Oregon scores 14 points. 8 of the runners out of 10 finished under 4 minutes, and that is a meet record, finally taking down that Lowy Lalang record from 2013. And John is with our winner.
Cole Hocker, congratulations. Take me through the race plan that produced a collegiate record.
Yeah, so coming out here today, it's kind of same thing as the prelim. I knew I was one of the fastest in the field, had the fastest seed time, so there's no reason to let it come down to a 500-meter race. And I just wanted to make it a true mile race, and I think I did a pretty good job of doing that today.
What's it like to be chased from other schools and not just your teammates all the time?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Yeah, pretty much the first experience in the mile this season was yesterday during the prelim, and yeah, I think me and Reed really did a good job working together and still finding each other, even though there's a bigger field now.
10 points for you, 14 for the Ducks. Congratulations, Cole Hocker.
Thanks.
National champ. That's the mile. Coming up next, we got the fastest dudes here. 60-meter dash. That is straight speed, and there are important points to be had for the Ducks in this race as well. Stick around. Back with track and field, but this reminder, exclusive announcement of the 64-team women's NCAA championship basketball field comes your way. Break down every team, every matchup, all across the tournament. Coverage starts 7 Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. All right, Dwight, we started the show by going with the multis, and Dan, so let's get into your area now.
Boy, it was the Javon Harrison show for the men yesterday. This is his first attempt at a lifetime best 7.6.5, 2 meters 30, and look at the daylight underneath them. He did not go for more, even though the Olympic standard is just 1 inch higher, 1 1.25 inches, because he wanted to save it for long jump. He did the same thing at the Southeast Conference meet where he doubled. He got a little extra time between high jump and long jump here, and boy, did he make the best of it. Struggled a little bit early on, but in the 5th round, the man who had won both competitions outdoors previously sets off a bomb in the long jump, a lifetime best 27.8 3/4, a world leader, 8th all-time world, 3 all-time US. And now he has won them both indoors and outdoors. He could make the Olympic team in both events.
Remarkable athlete, and after 9 events, we see now Oregon has jumped out on top with 37 points and LSU right behind, and that expects to be the team chase over the next 8 events as well. Next one on the track, we go from the mile to the shortest one. It is the men's 60-meter dash, and as much as we think about Oregon and their distance program, Makai Williams is out there, and there may be no I in quack, but there is in quick.
Yeah, they really have opportunities all over the place, ace finalists all over the place.
I honestly just wanted to change the atmosphere of Oregon. When people think of Oregon, they think of a distance school, so I just wanted to change it up, and I knew we had people in here that can push me and I can push them to be at a higher level. I just felt like it was the best opportunity, and I like the pressure, because when the pressure comes, that's when you come out your best. You come into a different animal. So I feel like that is good for me.
Williams, the freshman out of Portland.
So Makai Williams, along with the points they've already scored in the mile, also his teammate Gaston Bouchereau in this final. So another opportunity for the Ducks to really make a breakaway on the men's team title side.
There's Raymond Akewu from Florida. SEC indoor champ. We didn't see him at these indoor champs this year, but he won back in 2020. 3rd fastest gator of all time. Of course, behind Grant Holloway and Jeff Demps, who both won NCAA titles in the 60 meters.
Senior from Florida, also from Nigeria. I go right to left here at the Tyson Center. 1 down, closest to the screen on the right, 8 furthest away. Makai Williams with a good start. Williams is a little bit behind. Makai Williams now getting steam. It's going to be Makai Williams, and it looks like his teammate might have got it for about 5th or 6th. So 12 or 13 points for the Ducks here in the 60 meters. Williams winning it with 6:49. It was Raymond Akewu of Florida with 2nd place, 6:54, and Braithwaite 3rd. Ties his personal best just at the right time.
Well, there you see Makai Williams certainly in the yellow and green of Oregon. He didn't get his best start of the season, but man, he accelerated really well, even behind a little bit. Akewu was the one who got the great start, but look at this acceleration. He's such a power-packed runner. It's going to be interesting to see how he moves to the 100 meters outdoors. He's built perfectly for this 60 meters, but he ties his personal best at 6:49.
And Oregon did finish 5th. They got 13 points out of the 60, and John is with Makai Williams.
Makai Williams, your distance guys at Eugene get all the shine, man. Congratulations for the short sprinters. It goes fast, so slow it down for us and how it went.
I just got out, executed, and finished the race. That's all I did. That's what my coach told me to do, execute, and everything would fall in place.
Is there one thought that you have when you settled in the blocks that you will need to take to the tape?
I just got to get out. If I get out, it's going to be hard for people to catch me.
Indeed it was, and nobody could. 10 more points for the Ducks. Your teammate comes along as well in 5th place. Congratulations.
Thank you.
14 more for Robert Johnson and the Oregon Ducks. The mile and the 60 are all about Oregon. More meat coming, lots more events.
The men's shot put took place in the adjoining building, and the collegiate record holder was in the house. This is Turner Washington from Arizona State University on his 5th attempt. He goes over 70 feet, 70 feet 1 inch. All of his legal throws would have won the competition, guys. And you know what? Brian Bluetrick, the ASU throws coach, has got himself another national champion.
Take a look at the men's team score now. More for Oregon, 14 points coming out of the 60s. And if LSU is going to fight back here, because it's getting late early, they're going to have to do it here in the 400. That's where it's going to have to start. Dwight?
Men's 400 next on the track. It's a 2-section final. The collegiate meet record and really the world record held by Michael Norman of USC when he ran that in 2018 at Texas A&M. Out of lane 5, Randolph Ross of North Carolina A&T, the sophomore, got the preferred lane draw because he had a very quick time in the semifinals.
And outside of him will be Ja'Cory Patterson, the 2-time ACC champ. This year he won the 2 and the 4. Randall Ross, probably that lane 5 is a lane we're going to talk about a lot today, both in the 200 meters and the 400 meters, because it gives you a little bit more length on the turns, a little bit softer turns, but you also have that guy to your outside, so you can chase him. So Ja'Cory Patterson will be a good rabbit for Randall Ross.
All places will be determined on time from the 2 sections, so you can win the title from either section, stay in their lane through 2 turns, and then they will break for the pole. And the winner of the race to the pole is oftentimes the winner of the race. From the inside, champion Allison of Alabama, then Trevor Stewart of North Carolina A&T, his teammate Randolph Ross, and then Ja'Cory Patterson on the outside, and Ross already trying to make a move there in lane 5.
Well, Ross does like to go out quick. Trevor Stewart, his teammate right behind him, he comes on late.
Allison making the best of that lane 3 draw, just can't make it work. And it is Ja'Cory Patterson who gets that 200 pole position, 21.06 for the first 200.
Patterson looks strong right now. Great tempo. Let's see if he can hold it this last 100 meters.
Trevor Stewart trying to make a move. Randolph Ross chasing Ja'Cory Patterson into the finishing straight. Here comes Ross, and Ross is going to win the heat and establish the time to beat at 44.99 officially. That is a lifetime best for Randolph Ross.
Well, Randolph Ross did a wonderful job of just pacing Ja'Cory Patterson. He moved up to the outside, he waited for the straight, and then moved into lane 2 and overtook him right at the line. Great running by Ja'Cory Patterson, but Randolph Ross just measured him perfectly.
So 44.99, that is the number 9 time in collegiate history, and he establishes in world history. And he establishes the time to beat Ja'Cory Patterson right in there at 45.14. Number 8 time.
When we go to the men's weight throw, and it was a Florida Gator, Thomas Martle on his first attempt, he put this competition away early. He's over the 80-foot mark. That's a personal best for him and a new school record. He's from Norway. He was first at the SEC Indoor Championships, 7th in 2019, excuse me, in these championships, so big improvement for him. Number 3 all-time throw ever.
Now the second section of this 2-section final. And this will feature Noah Williams of LSU, and boy, do they need his points. Oregon trying to make it a runaway, and Noah Williams can stop some of the hemorrhaging if he can win this 400. Outside him, though, the veteran Bryce Dedman of Texas A&M.
I just don't think Bryce Dedman has run his best races indoors quite yet. He was a little ragged at the SEC Championships, wasn't happy with that 5th place finish. But Dennis Shaver said whoever wins this 400 meters, he thinks has to come through that 200 meters in 21 flat or better. And that is cooking. Noah Williams at a great SEC meet. 45.26 is a personal best, so he'd need to get a personal best to win this thing as well.
They're chasing the 44.99 put down by Randolph Ross, the number 8 time in NCAA history. From the inside, Dwight St. Hilaire of Kentucky in lane 3, then Ryan Willie of Florida, Noah Williams of LSU, who is out like a shot, chasing Bryce Dedman.
Well, he's off to a great start. He really pushed hard that first 75 meters.
Noah Williams wants to make it to the pole first, but Dedman is going to race him for it. And Dedman can't quite drop in. And Noah Williams doesn't break stride. But Dedman is strong. He has to try to make the pass here if he's going to make it at all. And Noah Williams is just running away from him and the field. Now he's trying to get under 44.99 to score the 10 points for the LSU Tigers. Noah Williams lifting hard into the finish tape. And he does it. He does it with room to spare. 44.71 officially for Noah Williams. He wins the title and the 10 points for the Tigers. Ryan Willie finishing second in 45.40. So Randolph Ross will get the second place points for North Carolina A&T.
Well, Noah Williams, I think, has to thank Bryce Dedman a little bit there. Bryce Dedman just tried to surge to the pole position. Noah Williams held him off, and that put him in great position to finish this race with 100 meters to go. And it was all strength and technique in that last 50 meters. Personal best just popping up right and left here in the men's 400 meters, and he knows he hammered a good performance.
And that performance, 44.71, is the number 3 time in NCAA history and number 4 world history, and John is with him.
Noah Williams, 44.71 is really impressive to me. What is it to you?
It feels good. I mean, shoot, it's the best time in the world, right?
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Take us through coming off to the first lap, and you got Dedman on your shoulder and keeping him off of the rail there.
I knew I had to be aggressive, and I felt him putting the pressure on me. So I was like, all right, fight or flight. Either you're going to win or you're going to fold. And I wanted to win, so that's what I had to do.
That's a great plan, and it worked. Congratulations on the 10 points, being a national champ and a world leader at 44.71.
Appreciate it, sir. Take care.
Take a look at the final results there in the men's 400 meters. Noah Williams got his start at Akron. Now he's an LSU Tiger and a national champ. Good work there by North Carolina A&T as well. We're back with more track and field after this. Got the 5K to show you, and this ain't no fun run. The NBA folks would tell you that they have the best athletes in the world, and if they were here, Dan and Dwight and I would wrestle them. Next week on Monday, NBA doubleheader for you. First, crosstown throwdown between the Knicks and the Nets. Then get ready for good stuff offensively. LeBron and the Lakers taking on Steph and the Warriors. Actual tip-off, 8 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Dwight, Dan, it's 5,000 meters. I'm out. You run it.
All right, 5,000 meters, and it was exciting for about 1 minute because Wesley Kiptoo, the junior from Iowa, with the gloves on because he's getting ready to run the cross-country nationals on Monday in Stillwater, Oklahoma, broke this thing open early, Dan, and he just grinded away and no one could stay with him.
Well, and the predictors are saying that has got the best chance to win this double, probably more than anybody else. 5K yesterday, and 2 days later, he's going to get out on the 10K course, but it was an easy victory for him.
Meet record, collegiate leader in 2021 for Kip 2. And look at Oregon, still 17 points ahead of LSU, but at least LSU got 10 points back in that 400. Florida and Alabama still chasing along with Georgia. As we get ready now for the men's 60-meter hurdles final, Grant Holloway has the meet and collegiate record. He also is the world record holder. He set that world record of 7:29 in Madrid, Spain last month. And this is Trey Cunningham, a Florida State boy. Dan, he looked good in the semifinals.
Well, his coach Matt Cain said he believes he's ready for 7.4. That would really take him to another level, but this kid's been the fastest hurdler all season long, ran 7:51.
Right next to him, though, from LSU, and boy, do they need the points, from Jamaica, the senior Damian Thomas also looked very strong and completely in control yesterday in his prelim.
He ran 7:56 in his qualifying. That was a personal best for him. He does a really good job of just being consistent. I've seen him get some great starts. I've seen him get some bad starts, and he consistently runs right about that same level, 7.6 or better.
LSU with 2 scoring opportunities in this hurdles final. They need them both. Thomas had a very average start yesterday. Much better start for Thomas today. He gets out ahead of Cunningham. And Eric Edwards is also running well for LSU. And now look on the inside. Boy, it's a blanket finish between Jamal Britt of Iowa, Damian Thomas, and Trey Cunningham. They're going to take a couple seconds to adjudicate that finish. They were right next to each other, and it is Damian Thomas. That's got to make Dennis Schaefer awfully happy. 10 points there, and then what did Eric Edwards get? He also scored some points. It's Thomas over Britt with Cunningham third. Eric Edwards getting fifth, so 14 points for the Tigers, and that will tighten things up as Oregon had no hurdler in the final.
Well, Damian Thomas, a personal best for him, but he gets a better start than Trey Cunningham, and you usually see Trey Cunningham come on at about the second hurdle, but Damian Thomas just didn't give him an opportunity. He just kept the pressure on, and then Jamal Britt, they're third from the right. He had a nice finish, but outstanding hurdling by Damian Thomas. This is probably the most aggressive I've seen him over the last 2 hurdles. Look at that blanket finish. Damian Thomas there has his shoulders across the line. You see Jamal Britt's head, but it's Damian Thomas's shoulders. But personal best for him, personal best for Jamal Britt.
That 7:51 is the number 7 time in NCAA history, ties him with world record holder Aries Merritt. And huge points for LSU. Johns with the winner.
Damian Thomas, that was a crowded finish, brother. How'd you pull it off?
Man, I just had to stay in my lane, man. Stay in my lane and execute, and I know it'll bring me home.
Explain to people when it gets like that, you know, focusing on your lane, but you can feel those other people.
I think the main thing is staying in your own rhythm. If you go up the other guys in the lanes next to you, you're going to end up hitting hurdles, and you just got to stay focused, stay in your own rhythm, and it'll bring you through.
What do you think of 7:51?
Man, time don't even matter. I'll take the time, top 10 ranked. A good way to finish indoor, I'll take it. I just want to thank God for it.
Damian Thomas comes through a blanket finish. Congratulations. 7:51, 7:52, 7:53, 7:54, 1 through 4. I don't know if we can top that when it comes to the DMR, the half mile, but we're going to try. We're here for the duration. LSU, go Tigers, GEAUX.
Last event on the men's side on day 2 was the men's distance medley relay, the DMR, and this is where Oregon breaks the race open. Charlie Hunter on the 800-meter leg made it so it was an Oregon runaway.
Well, Charlie Hunter was coming back from 45 minutes rest of his 800-meter trial, and Coach Ben Thomas said all we wanted to do was give Cooper Tier a chance, and they not only gave Cooper Tier a chance, they gave him the lead, and he would storm that 1,600 meters and see the Oregon Ducks go 9:19 again. 5, 6, 7 teams in this race all had personal bests.
And those 10 points are part of the reason Oregon's on top, but after wins in the 400 and the hurdles, LSU is right there, and they have the Ducks' attention to be sure. Now we get to see Charlie Hunter again. You said that you saw him in the qualifier. We saw him in the DMR as he's in the open 800, trying to chase down the collegiate record held by Paul Ehring. There's Charlie right there from Australia, part of that great Oregon Ducks distance crew. Like when you talk about Oregon Ducks distance, it brings to mind, you know, Oregon's distance team. They are that good. It's like the Masters. It's all kind of green, and it's a tradition like unlike any other.
The history and legacy behind the Oregon Ducks is something that is not just within America, it's worldwide. Everyone knows about it. I just thought, okay, well, if I want to be the best, I've got to go where the best go.
Everyone's kind of been on their A game, and that elevates, you know, your teammates when you're training with some of the top guys in the country. You just want to be right there with them and knowing that they've run these times or I've run these times.
And look at this, 348, 349, 350.
Everyone had big jumps and improvement this indoor track season, and so that just made it really fun to see we're all getting better.
And there's Charlie Hunter, the junior from Oregon and Australia. He will start out in lane 8 for this 800 meters.
Hunter, the Australian national record holder. He did that at the Tyson Invitational, 1:45.59.
Down on the inside, starting in lane 2 of that group, down in the close to the rail, Takadine Hadeli of Texas Tech and Algeria, the 24-year-old senior for the Red Raiders. They're in front in the all red.
He's run 1:59 this season as well, and he looked really comfortable in his qualifying.
Charlie Hunter choosing to stay way back in the pack. He's actually last at the end of the first 200 meters. Hadeli leading. Samuel Voles is there for Notre Dame in the green. Hunter now working his way into that lead pack of 5. Check the first 400 meters. Not a blistering pace, 52.6, so a lot of run left in these guys. There is Charlie Hunter now nicely positioned off the shoulder of Hadeli, but having to go wide. And slipped in there in 4th, Finley McLear of Miami of Ohio. So this group of 5 is broken off.
Jason Gomez from Iowa State, he likes to front run. He led his qualifying from start to finish.
And he leads at the bell. Hadeli now making the move, but there's a lot of bumping. There could be a flag on that, as Gomez takes the worst of it, now dropping back. Hadeli now with McLear. McLear in the lead, and Charlie Hunter going to chase. Finley McLear, the sophomore from Miami of Ohio and Great Britain, has a lot of run left in him. I think Charlie Hunter might run out of real estate at the wire. It could be Hunter. But I have learned that the guy closest to me is not often the guy who won it. Another tough separation for the photo finish folks. We haven't seen it yet. They're all waiting. It's Hunter, 1:45.90, and McLear, 1:45.91. I didn't see a 100th of a second separating those guys. An incredible finish by the Australian Oregon Duck, and 10 more points added to their total.
Well, Charlie Hunter was positioned very, very well, but Finley McLear just tried so hard to get clear. Looked like he cut in front of Charlie Hunter there, but Hunter backed off and let him go by. But here is that great finish. Charlie Hunter had to work so hard in the last 100 meters, and he ran McLear down. Always dip at the finish line if it is going to be close at all, and you see clearly there that the majority of the torso of Charlie Hunter gets over the line before McLear does.
A heartbreak for Finley McLear, and you see it there. And then celebration by Charlie Hunter, a 1/100th of a second championship run by the Oregon Duck, and he's with John.
Charlie, you won that race by less than the 60-meter dash. How often do you practice your lean when you're there in practice?
When I've got training partners like Cole Hocker and Cooper Tier pretty often, so that was just grit today. I'm stoked to get the win.
Yeah, take us through the last 200 meters, because it didn't look like you were in ideal position.
It was messy like a Sunday dinner, but I made best with it. I stayed tough and just kind of let it rip down that home straight.
You grabbed, and you were 1/100th of a second better than Finley McClear. 10 points for the Ducks. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There it is, the lean at the tape. 10 points for the Ducks. It's messier than a Sunday dinner. That's fabulous. Back with more racing after this. Charlie's the champ.
Well, we had a great men's triple jump competition before the running events began. Jengete Mapaya, the senior from TCU, started it off.
Well, it looked like he struggled with his run all day long, but in the 4th round, he bounces out to 55.7½. He'll finish in 2nd position with a personal best.
And then a surprise, the freshman from Oregon, Emmanuel Emige from Italy. He had already set 2 personal bests, and then he drops this one.
Well, this guy was on fire all day long. Just one great jump after another, and he didn't seem like he had any trouble with the timing and the speed of this runway either. But 56.7½, he absolutely knew it as he went over and slapped 5 with Robert Johnson.
Then Kerry McLeod, coming back from the long jump, was struggling technically, but a great competitor chasing Emige, and it looked like he might have been close, but he was 13 inches short of catching the freshman. So another unexpected 10 points for the Ducks in the triple jump. Mapaya ends up 2nd, McLeod 3rd. All right, next event on the track, 2-section final in the men's 200. Elijah Hall setting that collegiate record at the Texas A&M NCAA championships a few years ago. There's Joseph Famboulais of Florida. Finally gets a decent lane draw. He made this final out of lane 3. Now he's got the preferred lane 5.
It's a good spot for the sophomore. He's such a good closer. And this is Micaiah Harris, the Big 12 champ. As you see there, he ran a great qualifying race as well. He's in a nice position here on the outside. He'll actually have to be running like people are chasing him.
Micaiah Harris running 20.62 in the heats. Famboulais 20.53. All the way in lanes. You can win the title from either section. From the inside, Terrion Conwell of Clemson, then Tyler Davis of Florida. Famboulais in 5, Harris in 6. Pretty even the first 50.
Harris put a couple of meters right off the bat. Watch Famboulais now come back in this last 75.
Famboulais coming off the hill, but here comes Harris back at him. Famboulais wins the section in officially 20:38, establishing the time to beat for the 4 runners in section 2. And Harris 2nd with 20:43, both improvements on their runs from yesterday.
Well, Famboulais, you can see he's not extremely happy. He's running a very good turn here, drops down a little bit early, but he takes his foot off the gas. He almost has to re-accelerate in the last 50 meters. It just was not a smooth transition from the turn to the straight. He knows he could have run faster.
Famboulais misses his lifetime best by 0.06 of a second, and that might be significant when we see the second section runners. Now Joseph Famboulais has to watch and see what happens in section 2. He wins the first section, establishes the time to beat 20:38. Micaiah Harris close behind in 20:43. Five of the 8 athletes in this 200 are from the Southeastern Conference, and 3 in one section. And there is the favorite coming in here, the SEC champion, Terrence Laird of LSU. And boy, do they need his points. They need every single point that the remaining LSU entries can score, and he's one of them, and their 4x400 is the other one. They've got nothing else.
Well, certainly the winner of Heat 1, Joseph Famboulais, cannot feel very comfortable, because 2 guys in this race, Terrence Laird and of course Matthew Bowling, outside of Laird, have both run faster. Laird, the fastest 200 meter runner in the world this season. Started out at a JC, went to Penn State. Started at Penn State, then he ended up going to a Hines Junior College, ended up at LSU, and he said the culture just felt right for him there at LSU, and he has been thriving. There you see Matthew Bowling, really the online sensation after he dropped under 10 flat at the Texas at a Texas meet just 2 years ago, but very level-headed young man, just learning race by race. Struggled a little bit in the SEC championship final, tried to press a little bit much, ran out of his lane. Came back strong in the 4x4 and had a good qualifying yesterday.
And here with that lane 6 draw, he's running completely blind, which might be great for him, but it's even better for Terrence Laird because he will rabbit Laird in that first 100 meters going into that second turn.
The lanes are flip-flopped this weekend as Laird was on the outside at the SEC championships and Bowling was in lane 5.
Bowling finishing second, but disqualified because of a very obvious lane violation coming off of that second turn. Laird in 5, Bowling in 6. LSU needs the points. Lance Lang starting in lane 3. Javante Harding of North Carolina A&T in 4. And Bowling is out and Laird is chasing.
Harding with a good start there in that first 100 meters. Let's see what Laird can do on the last bend.
Bowling is going to hold him up. Yes. Matthew Bowling holding off Terrence Laird for the win in the 200. Yes, 2019 for the sophomore from Georgia, Laird at 2020. And those 2 points difference from first to second may make a difference for the LSU Tigers. They really needed everything. And not that this is a huge surprise. Bowling is the real deal.
Well, Terrence Laird was making a good move. He runs the corner so well, but it was just Bowling's strength on the outside. And you see Bowling's not as clean a runner as Terrence Laird. He just is all muscle here. His arms are going all over the place. He just managed to overpower him in that last 50 meters. But look at those times. 2:19, 2:20, personal best for both guys.
Well, fulfilling the promise that all of us knew that he had. Matthew Bowling winning the title in the 200, 2019. Terrence Laird just a 100th of a second behind. Number 7 all-time for Laird. Number 5 all-time NCAA for Matthew Bowling. And LSU's chances are starting to fade. Back with more when we return.
Well, coming into the men's pole vault, all eyes were on the Baylor junior, Casey Lightfoot. Had some competition in this field. Everybody gave him everything he could handle. He squeaked over 19¼ inch on a third attempt, but then he went on to make 2 more bars. 19.5½ he would finish with a new facility record and a new meet record. Congratulations to him. Zach McWhorter from BYU was second.
We just saw an exciting men's 3,000 meters dominated by the Oregon Ducks. Cooper Tier out in front at this point, but it was Cole Hawker coming back an hour after his mile win to take the double mile 3K within an hour. Pretty impressive, but more impressive the 18 points and the clinching of the title by the Oregon Ducks. 79-56, the second highest amount of points ever scored at this NCAA indoor championship. A school record for Oregon. They'd scored 74 twice in their previous indoor championships. And the third and final section of the men's 4x400 relay. The time to beat, 3:06:31, established by Florida in section number 2. This heat, or this section, features Tennessee in lane 5. They come up with a 3:04:08 seed time. And right outside of them, North Carolina A&T. They come in with 3:04:62.
There's Randolph Ross. He'll be running the opening leg. Coach's son, Dwayne Ross. He was a low 13 hurdler. His kid's a quarter miler.
Down on the inside there in the black of Georgia Bulldogs, Matthew Bowling will run the leadoff for the Dogs. He won the 200 meters in the fastest time in the world earlier in the program, less than an hour ago.
Well, and while Bowling is outstanding in the individual events, it's the relays that can really help your team. You can see him on the 4x1 and the 4x4 as they move into the outdoor, and he's an accomplished long jumper as well. So a good point getter for the Georgia Bulldogs.
But he had to work hard in lane 3 to get the pole, so he has put out a lot of energy to have that pole position. He's running against Randolph Ross, who's coming back from his outstanding second place finish in the 400 meters. Bowling is suffering, but he's hanging in there. and he will hand off first to Caleb Kavanaugh. And for North Carolina A&T, Daniel Stokes. For Kentucky, it's Lance Lang on the second leg. And for Tennessee, Christopher Bailey.
45-28 for Matthew Bowling, 45-68 for Randolph Ross. So great opening legs.
And a very strong pass there right as the straight meet met the turn by North Carolina A&T's Daniel Stokes, putting them in the lead. Kentucky now getting in it.
That's Lance Lang from Kentucky. Known mostly as a 200-meter runner, a short sprinter, but showed that he could run the 400 at the SEC 4x4 2 weeks ago.
And Kentucky hands off first, and they drop into first place, followed very closely by both Georgia and North Carolina A&T.
44-94 for Lance Lang.
What am I saying? It's Georgia, of course, and North Carolina A&T, and now Tennessee back in the mix. Both Kentucky and Tennessee were out of it the first couple of legs. Now they've made a race of it. Kentucky with Kenroy Williams in the lead. North Carolina A&T now trying to make the pass with Elijah Young, and for Tennessee, that is Emmanuel Bynum. Georgia starting to fade. And Tennessee makes a great pass and catapults into first place. Jonathan Secor for the Volunteers. And for Kentucky, that's Dwight St. Hilaire, who was a 400-meter finalist, but got a tough lane draw with lane 3. And for North Carolina A&T, that's Trevor Stewart.
Well, it was Emmanuel Bynum with a great leg for Tennessee that got him back in this, 45-80. And Trevor Stewart, all kinds of experience, both outdoors and indoors. And look at the ease, look at that turnover in which he takes the lead on the back straight.
Tennessee comes in with the #1 seed time, and North Carolina A&T second. Looks like they're going to take the title. Trevor Stewart making a great pass in the backstretch, brings A&T home. The winner, Kentucky second, Tennessee third. 3:03.16, that's easily far and away superior to the times from the previous sections. So North Carolina A&T wins the title, Kentucky second, Tennessee third, Georgia fourth overall.
Well, Trevor Stewart got in that finals at 400 meters. He comes back an hour later and he drops a 44.67 to give North Carolina A&T the title with all these Power 5 schools battling it out. It was the MEAC team that brought home the title.
So North Carolina A&T with a host of sprinters and quarter milers comes in here, wins the 4x400 title, 3:03.16. Kentucky second, Tennessee third. All of the scores of top 4 were in that final section.
Well, that'll round out the men's competition, but the next session, when the women get on the track, will be just as spectacular. We've got Tyra Gittens, who's terrific, and Shauna Terry, who's trying to defend her title, and of course the great at Ting Mo. Records will be set. They will fall. Back here at the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships, the 4x4 capping off the men's session, and it was the Oregon Ducks middle distance runner that capped off the meet. Oregon with the second highest point total ever, 79-23 better than LSU, and the Ducks hoist the indoor championship trophy for the 5th time in school history. 6 different event winners, including for the first time ever at this meet, a win in the 800, the mile, and the 3K. Throw in the 60 and the triple jump as well, and they were loaded for this one. And now we are on to the women's competition, and most of the women's competition early all belongs to A&M, and it belongs to Tyra Gittens.
Well, Tyra Gittens of Texas A&M has been extremely busy in the last couple of weekends. Pentathlon, long jump, high jump duties at the SEC championships, but here at the national championships, there was talk about a record. She gets the pentathlon off to a great start with a personal best in the high jump, 6'4" on her first attempt, and in the long jump, one of her best events. This is her 3rd attempt. She goes out to 21.7 1/4, and that jump would set her up to have a shot at the championship record, the national record. Kendall Williams from Georgia owns it. That 800 was not pretty, but Tyra Gittens runs into the time she needs to, and she wins the pentathlon and scores a new collegiate record, 47-46. So for now, Georgia passes the title of the world's greatest college athlete over to Texas A&M.
Then it was time for individual events, and Tyra Gittens, who did struggle early in the high jump, put it all away on her second attempt at 6'2 3/4, a huge clearance. She had jumped 6'4 during the pentathlon, so she was confident, and that's 10 more points for the Aggies as she wins the high jump over Rachel Glenn and her fellow pentathlete Anna Hall of Georgia. Then it was on to the long jump after about a 90-minute break. And this was Tara Davis, the transfer from Georgia to University of Texas, her third attempt down the runway, and she makes it a huge one. 22.9, a new collegiate and meet record. She did not bother to take her final 3 jumps after that. Gittens, again, struggling early on, got into the finals in 5th place, but this, in her 5th attempt, she goes another lifetime best to 21.11. That moved her from 5th to 2nd. But then it was Claire Bryant, the freshman from Florida, on her 6th and final attempt, who pushes Gittens down to 3rd place by 3/4 of an inch with a lifetime best, moved from 4th to 2nd. She was just 5th at the SEC Indoor. She's 2nd at the NCAAs, but Tara Davis, the winner and the new collegiate record holder. And Gittens, you think she's tired? Look at how taped up she is. It's duct tape, it's kinesio tape, it's baling wire. 26 points she scored on her own, and then she has all of the points for the Aggies.
I was going to say, there's the women's team standing, and it's nice that it's coming under the Aggie banner there as they're 3 points up in LSU and Georgia 26, but those are all Tyra Gittens. And one of the other co-favorites here, of course, Arkansas right now in tied for 9th, one of 6 teams there as we get ready for the women's mile. Sage Herta comes in with the top seeded time. She also was fastest in qualifying, and her schoolwork, guys, might be even more impressive than her stopwatch times.
I am super motivated both in school and in running, and I feel competitive in both, and I think that's what keeps me going. So it's just a balance and kind of trial and error throughout the course of college. You kind of figure it out. I'm thinking I would love to be in sports medicine because I just love athletics, and I really want to be able to help people maximize their potential even when they're injured or they're having some sort of setback. Once I'm done, I want to help the next generation perform their best.
Well, Herta had a huge mile breakthrough, a 4:31.80 on an oversized track just a few weeks ago. But there are 3 Arkansas runners in this mile final, and this will have a lot to do, Dan O'Brien, with what the fate of Arkansas will be. They lost almost half of their entries in the prelims, but they still have 13 finalists that can score here on the last day.
Well, I talked to Lance Harder this morning, and he said he was fine. He said he was absolutely fine. The people that he wanted to get through got through, and he was counting on those 4th, 5th, and 6th places today. But no reason to panic, and he took a look around and said, look, this is what Texas A&M can do. I know what they can do. Here's what we can do. So, you know, 3 Razorbacks in the mile here. This is a great place for them to really start some momentum and get something going now.
No question about that. Kennedy Thompson of Arkansas into the early lead, followed closely by Annette Konechek of Oregon. Grace Hyde of Arkansas there in 3rd. And then it's Chrissy Gear with number 10 on her hip.
Well,
back in the back of the pack.
I was going to say, well, Chrissy Gear is, you know, in the back of the pack. She controlled her prelim race yesterday just really from start to finish. But in the distance medley relay, she looked a little bit tired. So it's going to be interesting to see if she's got that energy and that pep. We've seen her run way back at the pack like this before, and it always seems like the Arkansas runners up front are a little bit of sacrificial lambs to the better kicker of Chrissy Gear.
Working her way through the pack, 68 seconds for the first 400 meters. Around 4:32 pace if they were to keep it up. Thompson continuing to lead over Konechek. Herta that is there in 3rd. Gracie Hyde there for Arkansas. Chrissy Gear now up in about 7th. There's 10 competitors in this final.
Sage Herta has a 2-flat 800-meter personal best, so you know she has a devastating kick. A couple people behind her there in, it's like 6th position. That's Katie Rainsberger out of Washington. She's always a gamer at the end of these races.
Threw in about a 72nd 400 there, 2:18 at the half mile, so slowed it down ever so slightly. More in the 4:35 neighborhood now. As Thompson continues to lead. Konachek of Oregon is there, then Herta. Now Chrissy Gear into 4th. And Gracie Hyde. So Arkansas with 3 of the top 5 right now, with 3 laps remaining. Herta looking like she might want to make a move, but thought better of it. Now Herta making a move on the backstretch. Did the same thing in her prelim. Into the lead now. Konachek also looks like she wants to make that move, but Thompson still remains in 2nd. Coming up to the 3/4 mark, and Herta forging a little bit of a gap there as Chrissy Gear now moves up next to her teammate. 3:27 at the 3/4 mark, so Herta definitely moving things along.
Chrissy on the shoulder of Kennedy Thompson. Looked like she spoke to her just briefly, but they cannot let this gap to Sage Herta get too far open. It's going to be impossible to catch her with 200 meters to go. Here's Chrissy's best chance to make a move on this straightaway to close that gap.
Right now, Arkansas looking at 14 points with 2nd and 3rd. Herta still looks full of run and still a gap between herself and Chrissy Gear. And then she just shifted right after that start-finish line. Thompson has to hang on to 3rd. She led most of the race, and that takes a little bit more effort. Herta is in full sprint now, and Gear just does not have another gear to catch her. It's going to be Sage Herta of Colorado, the senior, who is going to win this mile title with a personal best. Chrissy Gear 2nd, Kennedy Thompson 3rd, and Kaylee Richards of UMass Lowell getting 4th. And Arkansas also finishing 9th, no points there. So 14 for the Razorbacks. That's a good start for the home team.
Well, Sage Herta started winding this thing up, about 500 meters to go. And there on the back straight, we'll see those athletes glance up on the big screen, but she just began to just increase the pace, and she was able to pull away with about 200 meters to go, and then with 100 to go, she just drops the hammer. She's coached by Heather Burrows and Mark Wetmore and trains with Jenny Simpson. Can't think of a better trio to get you to a successful championship win.
Well, an outstanding effort by Sage Herta. Really ran a smart race. 4:30.58, a personal best. Chrissy Gear of Arkansas, Kennedy Thompson 2nd and 3rd. They get 14 points for the Razorback. A nice start for their title hopes. And John is with the winner.
Sage Herta, it looked like we went through this thing for several laps, and then you decided to start the race. What was your strategy when you decided to make your move?
That was kind of the strategy over the second half. I knew I was strong, and I wanted to push it and make sure I was in good position to win.
It is a wonderful legacy of distance runners at Colorado, and you have your name etched up there with all the great ones. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's the mile. That's certainly a bell cow event at any track meet, and so's the short sprint. We're going to the strip of 60 meters in the infield when we come back.
The women's weight throw has concluded, and you know, guys, we got ourselves a winner. McKinley Forrest, the senior from Louisville, waits till the final round, the 6th and final round, to move from 2nd to 1st. 76.3 3/4 for a personal best. She won the ACC this year, and that's the farthest throw amongst college women weight throwers this season. She saved her best for last.
9 events now complete on the women's side, and Arkansas with 14 big points closes the distance there on Texas A&M. That's who their chief rival will be. Time now for the fastest event in the meet, but after a lost year, it's been a long time coming. Tanisha Terry, 2019, one of just 3 defending champions still around from the 2019 meet, so she's back and still fast.
When I got to USC, I looked up the records in the 100, the 200. I looked up the school record and the freshman record, and I wrote down in one of my books that within my 4 years here at USC, I plan to break the school record in 100 meters. Things turned out, I ended up breaking it my freshman year, and from there, I just continued to mark off goals and add on new goals. So I kind of used that book to write down my past meets and just track like my improvement for each meet. It's just something that I can look back at and like, wow, like I achieved this so early on. I know there's so much more to go. And then I kind of just write down all my goals or things of that sort.
Well, Tanisha Terry ran 7:09 in the prelims yesterday. That's just 0.02 of a second off the collegiate and meet record, and it's the national leader for the year. But right next to her is Kiara Grant, who dropped a 7:11, which was the collegiate leader at the time, showing that she has peaked at the right time, Dan.
Well, Kiara Grant, I think, surprised everybody, including herself, on that run. But TT Terry was fast as well. Only 3 people. She's 4th in the world right now with that time. Only 3 people have run faster this season.
7 of these 8 finalists achieved personal bests in the prelims yesterday. They go right to left, 1 to 8, top to bottom. Terry with an excellent start right next to her, Joella Lloyd. Terry's got some work to do. She's not going to get there. It is Kemba Nelson of Oregon who wins the race. 7:05, that's a new collegiate and meet record for the Oregon junior from Jamaica. And none of us were talking about her at all. An excellent start, and she just made the race better and better.
3rd from the screen here. She just blasts out. She gets a fantastic start. You kind of expected TT to kind of reel her back in. But Kemba Nelson was gone. I'm a little bit speechless. She just executed every part of this 60-meter with absolute perfection. They get a men's win from Mackay. And here, an Oregon gal wins the 60 as well.
7:05, a new collegiate record. TT Terry did hang on for second, and only 2 points for Arkansas out of Jada Baylark, and John is with the winner.
Kemba Nelson, 7:05, a collegiate record. It is impressive to us. We would like you to explain to us how that happened.
I honestly don't know. I just listened to what my coach has to say before the race, you know, go out there and have fun and get out and jump on him early, and that's exactly what I did.
First reaction when you look up and you see 7.05.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that says it all. You don't have to explain it beyond that. We'll just tell you congratulations, and the Ducks have doubled up in the 60. Still to come when we return. The woman shattered the collegiate record in the 800. Now she's back for the 400. Half as far, might be twice as good, because Mo can go. You need to step. Happiness is 7.05. Kemba Nelson, champion at 60, and the reaction to the time, and then the money shot. Who doesn't like to sit next to that board and get that picture taken? Collegiate record holder, Kemba Nelson. But you know, the championship trophies, guys, are just for first place, and it doesn't always have to be a CR.
Well, then the shot put. This is the junior from Ohio State, Adelaide Aquila, in the 4th round. She puts it out to 49.5 for a personal record and brings home the win. There you see Samantha Nonek from Arizona. She's no stranger to success, along with Jorinda Van Klinken from Arizona State.
So A&M still in the lead by 6 over Georgia, but Arkansas starting to make the move. They got a point in, or 2 points in that 60 meters. And they've got a lot more scores left to go as we get ready now for a featured event. We've been anticipating this for quite some time. The women's 400 meters. You see the collegiate and meet records held by Kendall Ellis at 50.34. Remember the number. There is Talitha Diggs, her mom, Joetta Clark Diggs, 4-time Olympian in the 800 meters. So good pedigree for this young freshman from Florida.
And she's peaking at exactly the right time. We've seen a couple of her best races the last couple of weeks. There's Rosie Effiong. She'll be in lane 5, the preferred lane on this track. She's a fast starter. She knows how to take control of this race. And we're going to keep saying it. Every last point counts for Arkansas.
From the inside, Tiana Wilson of Arkansas, also a potential scorer for the Razorbacks. In 3, Kennedy Simon of Texas in 4, then Effiong in 5, Diggs in 6, and pretty even through the first 100.
Well, you know, Rosie Effiong, she pushed hard to get that pole position in her qualifying round. Looks like she's doing the same here.
Diggs is really digging down deep to get that pole position, and she does so without breaking stride. Effiong has to break stride for her to get in there.
Well, that was a really strong move there from Talitha Diggs, and smart too, but really close to cutting that person off in the inside lane, but it gave her total control.
Both Razorbacks chasing Talitha Diggs. Tiana Wilson, who started in lane 3, had to do a lot of work, but Diggs moving for that finish line, trying to establish the time to beat in this first section. 51:27. Now 26 officially, just off her lifetime best of 51:14. So that becomes the time to beat from this first section.
Well, Talitha Diggs used so much energy in this first 300 meters to get that pole position. You see her just slide into lane 1. And she really took everybody else kind of out of stride, but she used so much energy. She was rocking and rolling all the way home. You just see how absolute tired she is, but how does she finish? She uses her arms to get her to the finish line. Not her best time ever, but a solid time nonetheless.
And that is the time they'll be chasing in the second sections. Diggs wins it with 51:26. Tiana Wilson of Arkansas 52:02, and Rosie Effiong ends up 3rd. Important how those Arkansas runners will score in this event. So now we move along to the second section, and in lane 5, this is the fabulous freshman, the only collegiate ever break 2 minutes in the 800 meters. She did that 2 weeks ago on this track. 1:58 and change. Ting Mo, and she has the leading time in the country in the 400 meters. She is the U20 champion, fastest collegian this year at 400 and 800, and we're looking for something very special. I'm surprised, Dan, to see her out there with the blocks, because she had trouble with them yesterday, and she had tweeted out, I'm just going to take a standing start tomorrow.
Well, you can't do that in the 400 meters, but you know, when the entries came out, everybody was a little bit shocked, and so you have to think about, well, why is she running the 400? And one of the theories I believe is that Pat Henry cares about her success later in the season. She doesn't need another fast 800 meters this time in the year in her program. If she ran another 2 flat or a 1:58, this wouldn't benefit her that much. She's already done that. But she can work on her speed now, recover a little bit, and get ready for what will be a really long season. So the 400 does make sense. We think she's definitely the fastest in this race. The question is, how fast will she go?
And outside of her teammate Cherokee Young of Jamaica, the sophomore. So a big point scoring potential for the Aggies here in the second section of the 400 meters. The time to beat from section 1, 51:14. Put down by Talitha Diggs of Florida. From the inside, Kaylin Roberts of USC, Amber Anning of LSU and Great Britain, then Ting Mo and Cherokee Young. And Mo is out chasing her teammate.
Well, she got a great start. First couple of steps a little precarious, but she really pushed hard after she came down that hill on that far side. But look at the inside lane. That's Kaylin Roberts going out hard, the 2019 NCAA champ.
And that forces Ting Mo to the outside if she wants to pass her. Extra distance. That could put the collegiate record in jeopardy, and Kaylin Roberts is doing a great job of holding off the young freshman. Now we've got contact, and strides being broken. Looking for a flag. I don't see one. But Mo, that really took her off her game. she's not even going to win this section. Kaylin Roberts from lane 3 runs 50.84. And that will be the top time. She will win the 400-meter title here at the NCAAs. Ating Mo running 51.03, a couple hundredths of a second slower than her prelim time yesterday. What a surprise.
Well, you're telling me. I'll tell you, Kaylin Roberts did exactly what she needed to do to hold off the likes of Ating Mo. She got out early. She kept her off. She kept her out of lane 1, and she made her go all the way around, run the long way around. And you see the grit and determination on her face, but you also see the pain and agony on Ating Mo's face. This is the first time that we've really seen her look tired, but congratulations for Kaylin Roberts. That was a fantastic strategy, and it worked fantastic.
Well, A&M gets 2nd and 4th, so that's 8 and 5, 13 points for the Aggies. Arkansas only picks up 3 in that 400. Back with much more. The 60-meter hurdles are next when we return.
Monday's coming, in a great NBA doubleheader for you on ESPN. First, crosstown throwdown between the Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks are nice so far this year. Then LeBron and the Lakers take on Steph Curry and the Warriors. Action tips at 8 Eastern. It's on ESPN. As always, you can find it on the ESPN app. That does it for promo 2. Now let's look at the 5,000 meters.
And what a strange race it was, John. Joyce Camelli, the junior from Auburn, was forced to lead much of the race, which he hated doing. Yo-yoed back and forth and finally took it over and was able to win it by a little more than a second in 15:48.98. Bethany Haas of Minnesota finishing second. Ellie Hens of North Carolina State finished third. So A&M still with a 16-point lead over Arkansas, but Arkansas just has so many people to throw at you. All that A&M has left now after that 400 is the 4x4. So the most points they can score is 57. Keep that in mind as we watch Arkansas continue to put people in the finals. The next final, women's hurdles, collegiate record holder Brianna Rollins, now McNeil. She's the Olympic champion from Rio. And starting in lane number 4 from the University of Texas, it is Chanel Brissett. She is the NCAA indoor champion from 2 years ago, the last time this event was held.
And she's also the fastest qualifier in the heats at 8:04, but she has gone 7:89 this season.
On her left in lane 3 for LSU, the SEC champion, Milan Young.
Milan Young, her personal best, 8:03. She was second fastest in the qualifying, 8:06. Her previous NCAA experience came in the 4x4 in 2019.
And there on the left of your screen, Deshae Freeman for Arkansas. Another point-scoring opportunity here from Jamaica, a sophomore.
Tiara McMinn from Miami in lane 1. But Deshae Freeman, she always seems to rise to the level of competition.
So it's Milan Young in the gold of LSU in 3. Next to her, Chanel Brissett in the burnt orange of Texas. And then Arkansas's Deshae Freeman in the white top. Brissett with a good start. Chanel Brissett and then Freeman. Brissett now in lane 2. It is Akron Nugent of Baylor. Man, and the upsets just keep on coming. Nugent wins it in 7:92. And Deshae Freeman for Arkansas gets 8 points in second with 7:99. Chanel Brissett down in 3rd place.
Well, Akira Nugent there, second from the inside. Tiara McMinn on her left. She just runs away with this. And you know, what's interesting is a lot of the racing we think goes on in the middle of the track, but fast hurdling can take place anywhere on this track. She's second from the right there and just out of trouble, not in the middle of the mix. She runs her own race and runs away with this thing. 7:92. And like you said, Dwight, just 1/100th of a second off her PB.
Well, that is a shock. But what's the good news for Arkansas is that Deshae Freeman finished second in 7:99, a big PR for her, and they get 8 points for the Razorbacks. Brissett was 3rd, McMinn was 4th. Back with more when we return to our women's distance medley relay was held yesterday, and you can see the Athletes got to pay attention to what's going on the track, but it was all BYU, and they're not going to be running cross country, Dan.
Well, this was Courtney Wayman. She brought the final leg in that 1,600 meters at 4:32, giving BYU their first ever DMR national title.
Not going to the cross country meet on Monday in Stillwater. So here are the standings. It's getting tighter and tighter. A&M, remember, only has one event remaining. That's the 4x400. Arkansas now just 8 points behind, and LSU chasing in third. Now time for the women's 800-meter final. Ating Mo, the only collegian to ever break 2 minutes and 1:59. She ran the 400 earlier. Raven Rogers is the meet record holder at 2:01.09. And for Virginia Tech, this is the sophomore, Lindsey Butler. She was the ACC indoor champion just a couple weeks ago.
I grew up playing soccer and swimming. Didn't really get into track and field until late into high school. But Dave Cianelli at Virginia Tech says she is blossoming.
Lori Barton of Clemson, the senior, will start out in 8. They have 2 groups, one of 5 and one of 3. They will stay in these groups through 2 turns and then break to the pole on the finishing stretch. Arkansas does have a scoring opportunity here with Shafiqua Maloney in this field.
Well, we highlighted the 2 ACC athletes. They were burning it up at those championships. The 800 meters was a really hot event for them.
So for Baylor, this is Aaliyah Miller, who has chosen to lead through the first 200 meters, 27.7.
Aaliyah Miller went 2:02 at Iowa State just a couple of weeks ago. So she's definitely has potential.
It's Claire Seymour for BYU, currently in second, with Shafiqua Maloney of Arkansas in second. It means Baylor's Aaliyah Miller has a nice gap there on Shafiqua Maloney. And at the first 400, it's a blistering 56.9 by Aaliyah Miller. The rest of the people in the field thought, yeah, I think she may be going out a little too fast. Maloney in a good spot.
Well, let's keep an eye on her. She looks really good right now, but you go out that fast, you're going to pay the price somewhere. Question is, where's it going to be?
Lori Barton is now getting into second place. They're pretty much all counting on Aaliyah Miller not being able to keep up this pace. But behind her, it is Lori Barton, Shafiqua Maloney. Lindsey Butler is there as well. That's still a pretty big gap. Miller of Baylor has been leading from the front, and everybody else is starting to run out of real estate. Lori Barton, now Maloney coming up, trying to challenge for second. Miller is going to win it wire to wire. 2 flat 68. That is a meet record. Now corrected to 2 flat 69, but she breaks the Raven Rogers meet record from 2017. But as importantly, she moves into spot number 2 all-time, tied 2 all-time amongst collegians.
Well, the senior from Baylor, this is just pure guts. She did a race plan that I don't think anybody would have put her onto. She did run 2:02 a couple of weeks ago, but here she just went out hard, comes through in 56 seconds, and just holds on. Just too much real estate to cover. 2-second PR. We're seeing things, Dwight, I don't think we expected to see here on finals day.
That 2 flat 69 ties the previous collegiate record that Ating Mo broke 2 weeks ago. Shafiqua Maloney of Arkansas gets 6 points for Arkansas. That was not expected. And John is with the winner downstairs.
Aaliyah Miller running from the front, wire to wire. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. It worked out for you. What was the decision to go early?
Yeah, that was my race plan, and once I wanted to go, I want to stick with it and hold on. Catch me if you can.
Nobody did, but at any point, where was the difficult point in that race for you?
Well, it was really surprising seeing how fast the splits were, so I wanted to make sure I didn't freak out and just keep pushing.
Great poise by you, a collegiate record for you, and a national championship. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fabulous 4 laps there. We got the perfect event for this oval coming up next. It's the 200 once around, and we're going to hear and see Abby Steiner.
The main thing is just to enjoy this moment. This is what we pretty much work for the entire year, and just have fun and go out there and, you know, win my heat, and the times will take care of themselves.
As we watch women's track and field, quick reminder, we have exclusive coverage of the announcement of the 64-team women's NCAA championship basketball field coming your way tomorrow. Break down every team, every matchup across the entire tournament. Coverage will start at 7 Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Quick clarification, I mentioned Aaliyah Miller in winning. I said she had the collegiate record. She set the meet record. So, Dan, that's a first attempt miss on me. Second attempt make for you as we go to the pole vault.
All right, well, the women's pole vault, it seemed like it lasted a long time, but by the time the smoke cleared and we got to the end, it was this young lady from LSU. This is Lisa Gunnarsson, the senior. First attempt at 14:11 and a half. Oh, just a slight brush, and Dwight Stones would say, as long as you hit it on the way down, it'll stay up. A PR for her. That's the 8th best jump in collegiate history.
That's right, hit that bar on the way down. Well, Arkansas continuing to creep up on Texas A&M. Now the gap is just 2. LSU 14 behind in third, with Georgia 4th as we get ready for the 200 meters. Gabby Thomas of Harvard setting that collegiate record 3 years ago when we were at A&M. And this is a 2-section final. The champion can come from either section. It is all on time. And in lane 6 in section 1, this is Kennedy Flanell, the junior from Texas.
She won the Big 12, 60, and 200-meter titles. Looked good in her qualifying round. Out there in lane 6, going to be running a little bit blind, and that's the Navia Battle from Ohio State. She's run 22:66 indoors this season, coached by Karen Dennis, former U.S. Olympic coach.
Also in this heat, Favor Ofili down in lane number 3, and T.T. Terry, who finished second in the 60. She is in lane 4 for the Trojans of the University of Southern California. From the inside, it's Ofili, T.T. Terry, then a Navia Battle of Ohio State, and Kennedy Flanell of Texas.
Flanell's off to a good start, but so is T.T. Terry on the inside. Let's see if Terry can continue to work around this turn.
Terry making the move in lane number 4 now. Flanell coming off that hill in lane 6, and she's going to win the section and establish the time to beat at 22.64 officially. So that's what the time will be that they're shooting for in the second section. T.T. Terry at 22.75.
Well, the runners on the inside on that turn, always it gives an optical illusion that they're going to...
Section runners can beat her leading time of 22.64 from the first section. And they're getting a block set for this section. There is Abby Steiner. She got the preferred lane 5, the Kentucky junior, 2-time SEC champion at this distance, and has the leading time coming into these championships.
Well, she's run 22:41 this season, and you know, to compare her, I talked to her coach Lonnie Green. I said, is she a next level competitor? And he said, absolutely. And you can go back just a couple weeks before the SEC meet and a few weeks earlier from now, but Allison Felix in that same lane on this very track ran 22:57. Abby Steiner has run 22:41.
And she ran
on staff at Alabama now, gets to spend a lot of time with her. Has really had a chance to work with her. She is a joy to work with, but Tamara Clark just all over the place in these sprints.
Amira Young of Minnesota will be in lane 3. Delicia McDuffie of North Carolina A&T occupies lane 4. Then Steiner, then Clark. They know the time to beat is 22.64. And Steiner beat that time 22.62 yesterday in the heats. She won the SEC title with 22.50. From the inside, Young, McDuffie, Steiner, and Clark. 22.64 is the time they're trying to beat.
Well, these two tangled at the SEC championships, and Abby Steiner came out on top.
And she's leading coming off the turn. Steiner with a short, choppy arm swing, and she's going to win the section, and she runs fast enough to win the title. 22:38 officially for Abby Steiner, 10 points for Kentucky. That is the collegiate record, tied by Steiner. Gabby Thomas ran it 3 years ago at Texas A&M. Steiner has equaled it here in Fayetteville.
Well, Abby Steiner's just so efficient in this 200-meter track, but you can guarantee she felt the pressure on her right shoulder by Tamara Clark. But nice way to finish. 50 meters to go. Both athletes looked like they were struggling just a little bit, tightening up, but Abby Steiner keeps those arms moving and takes it all the way through the line. 22:38. 3/100ths of a second better than she'd ever run before.
Equals the 5th fastest time in world history for the event on the women's side. Ties the collegiate and meet record. And Tamara Clark runs a personal best, finishing 2nd. John's got the winner downstairs.
Abby Steiner, how does meet record and national champion sound?
Amazing. I can't believe it.
What's going through your mind when you come off that final turn, because you know you got company?
Yeah, the most important thing is to just keep your form as best as you can. Don't press, and let the bank take care of most of the work for you.
Well, you didn't press, but you did impress. Congratulations on the national championship.
Thank you.
Abby Steiner, SEC champ, national champ, and the meet record. That's a full day right there.
Well, the triple jump was a key event for the Texas Aggies, and Deborah Aqua, who had disappointed in the long jump, scoring no points in 11. On her 2nd jump, after setting a personal best in the 1st round, bounces out to 46.10, equaling the meet record. She took a few rounds off, thought she had it won, but in the 6th and final round, Ruth Usoro of Texas Tech, who was struggling, she won the Big 12 indoor, but she was struggling here. She equaled that mark, 46.10, but she had a better 2nd jump, and that is the tiebreaker. So it knocks Aqua down from 1st to 2nd, and those 2 points at the time, very important to Texas A&M. Usoro wins it on a 2nd better jump. Aqua 2nd, Ruda Lasmain, who had 3 personal bests, finishes 3rd. In the women's 3,000, it was Joyce Camelli of Auburn who really didn't want to lead, and we had a little bit of a crash late in the race. It was Courtney Wayman of BYU who anchored the DMR yesterday, holding off Lauren Gregory of Arkansas, but Arkansas scoring 17 points in this 3,000 meters, and that was all she wrote. The host Arkansas Razorbacks winning the team title with 17 points in that 3,000 meters. Wayman winning just barely over Lauren Gregory. Joyce Camelli won the 5,000, 3rd in the 3,000.
There you see why we have the joy, joy, joy for the folks from Arkansas. Happiness is a 15-point lead when the most your opponent in 2nd can get is 10. Arkansas will win their 3rd national championship. Dwight, take us home with the 4x4.
All right, John, we were hoping it would come down to this for the team title, but it was not meant to be. Arkansas had just too many finalists to make it happen. See the collegiate record there held by Texas A&M. Here is Arkansas. They will start in lane number 6 and start off with Paris Peoples. And inside them, Texas A&M, the collegiate record holders. Jania Martin will have leadoff duty for the Aggies.
Earlier this season, Texas A&M went 3:26 for a new collegiate record. We'll see Cherokee Young on the 2nd leg and Athing Mo on the anchor.
From the inside, it's USC, Kentucky, then Texas A&M and Arkansas. USC starts off with Bailey Lear, the junior. Kentucky, Megan Moss, the sophomore. And we've already mentioned Jania Martin for A&M and Paris Peoples for Arkansas.
That's a good start on the inside for USC. Bailey Lear putting the hammer down here early.
So it's USC, with Arkansas challenging on the outside, A&M in third, and Kentucky in the blue in fourth.
Well, Bailey Lear doing a good job of keeping everybody to her outside, making them go the long way around.
USC will pass first, then Arkansas. And A&M right there. Everybody's still in it. That's Abby Steiner on second leg for Kentucky. She tied the collegiate record in her 200-meter victory.
52.75 for that first leg for USC.
This is Morgan Burks-McGee for the Razorbacks on second leg. Cherokee Young for A&M. And Jantaja Ford for USC.
Like to see Abby Steiner out there. She's a short sprinter specialist, but to see these athletes move up, you've got to be a good sprinter at all different distances.
So A&M into the lead, and they will pass first. It'll go from Cherokee Young to Tiara Robinson-Jones. USC gets the baton second. They're running Nicole Yergin.
50.97 for Texas A&M on that last leg.
That was Cherokee Young. Tiana Wilson running for Arkansas on the third leg. And for Kentucky, it is Masai Russell. They're all very tightly bunched. The top 4 teams on time coming into these championships, battling it out in this final event of the NCAA Indoor Championships.
Nicole Yergin won her heat in the open 400 meters, but it just wasn't fast enough to get her through. She just missed out on a final.
A&M and USC battling it out up front. Arkansas right behind him, and Kentucky is also in there.
Well, look who we got anchoring here.
Ting Mo is going to anchor for A&M, but they get the stick second. USC will anchor Kaylin Roberts. Shafiqua Maloney, who scored a third place finish in the 800, anchoring for the Razorbacks.
52.08 for the third leg for USC, and here's Kaylin Roberts, the winner of the 400 meters earlier tonight.
And Mo just shifts gears and glides past Roberts in that home stretch. Now she's in full flight. I don't think anybody's going to catch Ting Mo. Roberts just won't give up, and Maloney with that 800-meter strength, keeping it close for Arkansas in third. Mo is going to win it for the collegiate record-holding Texas A&M Aggies. USC holds on for second. Arkansas third. Kentucky will finish fourth. 3:26.68. They just missed their own collegiate record by about 4/10 of a second.
49.54 for Ting Mo, and a new meet record for Texas A&M.
They do break USC's meet record from 4 years ago. Well, the two 400-meter first and second placers battling it out on the anchor for their teams, and Ting Mo just made a move up that finishing stretch with a lap to go and never looked back.
Well, I think she wanted a little bit of redemption. She didn't run the smartest race in the open, but here in the relay, she stays clear and she opens things up and puts in a decisive victory for the Texas A&M Aggies.
So missing their own collegiate record, but they get the meet record. A&M finishes with a victory in the 4x400 over USC and Arkansas.
Good basketball stuff coming for you Monday. We got an NBA doubleheader. First game, crosstown throwdown between the Knicks and the Nets. Manhattan and Brooklyn going at it. Then LeBron and the Lakers take on Steph Curry and the Warriors. Love to watch that guy shoot. Action tips off 8 Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. One more look at the championship standings as Arkansas wins its third national championship. 68 points to 57 for Texas A&M. 11 points seems like a comfortable margin, but boy, Dwight, that's a hard-earned victory for the Hogs.
No question about it. And it was strength in numbers for Arkansas. They brought 25 athletes to these championships, got 13 into the finals. Stumbled a little bit on the prelim day, but they really got it together today. Good performance after the other, and no champions, and they still are able to win it by 11.
Outstanding teamwork there, but let's take a look at today's rewarding performance brought to you by Capital One. And Dan, no single competitor was better than Tyra Gittens.
Well, when you have an athlete like Tyra Gittens on your team, you'll always have a chance at a team title because she's going to score a lot of points. She goes for a collegiate record in the pentathlon and a great performance in the high jump. She wins there. She gets third in the long jump. Simply put, she is world class.
Talked about how grateful the athletes and coaches were. I don't want to speak for everybody. Quickly, guys, right? Happy to be here. A pleasure for us to watch this.
Yeah, it was a long year, John. A lot of disappointment and then just acceptance. So great to be here. It's all like we never left.
I love the fact that track and field is back, but I missed you guys, and I'm glad that we get a chance to be together.
Meet records we saw. Collegiate records were broken. Multi-event greatness. Distance dominance. We had surprise winners, which were great. We had Oregon as a champ on the men's side. Arkansas as a team champ. Two great programs in the history of this sport. For Dwight Stones and Dan O'Brien, I'm John Anderson. We'll see you again outdoors at the SEC meet and again for the Natty in Eugene. Thanks for watching.